Shall we? So we'll go to chapter 31, inflation and deflation. So we're talking about inflation, we're talking about persistent rise in the prices of foods, goods, and services within an economy. So let's see. Introduction. It said, do you find that the money you are spending is buying you more goods and services or fewer goods and services? Do you know how the prices of the products you buy compare with the price of those products 10, 20, 30 years ago? For example, the price of a basket of foodstuffs in the UK was 0.31 in 1914. The price of the same basket increased to $1.12 in 1964. 21.9 in 2067, and is forecast to rise to 88.79 in 2064. What causes the price of goods and services to change? What effect do changes have, and can a government or a central bank control these changes? So these are basically inflation. So the definition of inflation and deflation. While inflation is the rise in the price of goods and services, deflation is a fall in the price of goods and services. So persistent rise is inflation, fall is deflation. Deflation is, in effect, negative inflation. The rate at which the price of goods and services rise or fall changes over time. An increase in the rate of inflation means that prices are increasing more rapidly. A fall in the inflation rate from, for example, 10% to 7% can be described as disinflation. So a fall in the inflation rate is called disinflation, not deflation. Deflation is a fall in prices, persistent fall in the price of goods and services. But for disinflation, it means the inflation rate is falling little by little.
Yes, yes.
Do you get the difference now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So measurement of inflation and deflation. To measure rises and falls in the price level, government controlled price indices, also referred to as the price indexes. This shows the change in general price level in percentage terms over time. One of the main price indices used is the Consumer Price Index, CPI. How do we construct a price index? We said there are numbers of stages in constructing a price index. This includes selecting a base year, finding out how households spend their money, attaching weights to items of expenditure, finding out price changes from a range of trade outlets, and then constructing weighted price index. So we start with selecting a base year. So let's talk about the base year. We're talking about the year that has been given before the present year. So yes, government statisticians try to select a relatively standard year in which there were no dramatic changes as a base year. The base year is then given a figure of 100, and the price levels in other years are compared to this figure. For example, if the base year is 2015, it will mean that if the price index is 20 in 2018 was 123, the general price level are rising by 23% between 2015 and 2018. Do you get the point I'm making here? So if you are using the base year will be given 100%, 100. So that is the year chosen. Then the present year we're talking about, we are comparing the present year with the base year. So if the present year has a figure of 155, it means there's an increase of 55% from the base year to that present year. Clear, right? So that's how we talk about the base year. So finding out how households spend their money. In calculating the average rise in prices, it is important to know how people spend their money. This is because a price change in an item on which people spend a large proportion of their total expenditure will have more impact on the cost of living than an item on which they are relatively small proportion. So items that people buy more, that they spend most of their income on, if the price changes, then it will have more impact than items that they do not really buy. Do you get the point here?
The item that has demand,
more demand, thank you.
Yeah.
So it has more impact when prices increases and those items that people rarely buy. Clear, right? Yeah. So to find out spending patterns of people, government officials carry out surveys of household expenditures. In New Zealand, a sample of approximately 3,000 households. 3,000 households is used. Those households are asked to keep a record of their expenditures. From the information collected, government officials work out the main commodities being bought by the households. This enables them to decide which item to include in the price index and what weight to attach to them, to each of them. If people stop buying the product or their expenditure on it falls to a very small figure, it will be removed from the index. So if you have to weigh the price, if you have to weigh the product, it has to be based on how much more they buy of that product. So those products that people stop buying, you take it away from your price index because it's not going to have any effect or impact when you're calculating your consumer price index.
Yes.
So from the information collected, government officials work out the main commodities being bought by the households. This enables them to decide which the items to include in the price index and what weights to attach to them, which we talked about. So the weight reflects the proportion spent on the item. For example, if on an average household spend $120 on their total expenditure of $600 on food, food will be given a weight of 1/5 or 20%. Do you get the point here? The point you're making is this. If household have $600, that's their expenditure, but they spend 120 on food. So that means 120 over 600 is on food. 600 divided by 120, sorry. So that means 1/5 or 20% of their expenditure is spent on food. That is the weight. Do you get it now?
Yeah. The percentage.
So food will be given that amount. So the table shows the categories of products in the UK's consumer price index and their respective weight, with, for example, 10.3 for UK's household expenditure going on food and soft drinks. So we have the weight here. So these weights are based on how much more they buy. I think it's clear. So based on what we have here, we have the highest weight on restaurants and hotels, recreation and culture, housing,
they all sum up,
food and non-alcoholic beverage.
they all sum up to 100%.
100%, yes. I think that is clear, right?
Yes.
So household spending patterns are reviewed each year with new family expenditure surveys. If this reveal, for example, that people are spending a greater percentage on recreation and culture and a lower percentage on food and non-alcoholic beverages, the weights of these items in price index will be altered to reflect these changes. So if changes occur with these items of food, then it has to reflect on the weight they are being given. Clear?
Yes, yes.
Household spending patterns are reviewed each year. Okay, we talked about that. So finding out price changes. Each month, government officials find out information about prices. In the UK, about 130,000 price quotations are found for 650 different items. These are obtained from shops, post offices, power companies, train companies, and a range of other outlets. From this information, the government estimates the changes in price. I think it's clear. Now, we have to construct a weighted price index. How do we do that? They said, having assigned weights to different items included in the index and measured the changes in their prices over time. The final stage is to multiply the weight by the new price index for each category of products and to calculate the change in price level. For example, consumer may spend $40 on food, 10 on housing, 25 on transport, 25 on entertainment. This gives a total expenditure of $100. The price of food may have risen by 10%. So the price of housing might have fallen by 5%. The price of transport may not have changed. The entertainment may have risen in price by 8%. So the information will then be used to perform the table. So because there are changes now. So before now in food, they said, so $40 was spent on food, 40 out of 100.
Yes.
That's 4/10, 1/10, 1/4, and this. Do you get it or not? If you don't get it, let me explain again. Each items have over 100, 40 over 100, 10 over 100, 25 over 100, 25 over 100. That's the weight. Then there's changes. They said the food has risen by 10%. That is 110. House has fallen by 5%.
Yeah.
Do you get it now?
Yes, yes.
So by 10%, that's just 10. Realized by 5% minus 5 remains the same 100%. By 8%, 800. So this is what you multiply by your price index to get the weight price index. So 4/10 multiplied by 110, 1/10 multiplied by 95, 1/4 multiplied by 100, 1/4 multiplied by 108. Do you get it now or not?
Yes, yes.
So listen, when you're calculating your weight price index, hold on please. Sorry. when you're calculating your weight price index with the consumer price index, what are those things you need? You need the food basket, you need the weight and the price index. The food basket is talking about the category, that means the items that we have to put into that category. Then the weight will be based on how much more they demand for that product.
Yes.
For example, they talked about food, which is 40% on food. They spend $40 on food,
Yes.
$10 on this and that. So the total on weight will be total of 100%, 100. Then if food is 40, it will be 40 over 100. If housing is 20, it will be 20 over 100. If transport is 10, it will be 10 over 100. If entertainment is 30, it will be 30 over 100. So total, we get $100.
Yes.
So because we have to calculate the changes will be for the present year. So they said food increases by 10%. So that means we're going to talk about 40 over 100 multiplied by 110. Because food has increased by 10%. It's always 100. So 10% will be an increment of 10. So to be 110 for food, they said housing has reduced by 5%. It will be 100 minus 5%. They said transportation remains the same. That means it remains 100%. Then they said entertainment has increased by 8. So that is 108%. So to calculate our weighted price index, it will be weight multiplied by the price index. Weight multiplied by price index. Weight is 404 over 10 multiplied by price index for each one. So at the end of it all, it will still fall back to 100. Do you get it?
Yes, I get it.
So everything so your weight price index will be calculating all the weight price index, which is from 100% has increased by 5.5%. So that's the rate of inflation. So do you understand? So the price index has increased from 100% to 105.5%, which is our new price index.
Yes.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Any question about that?
No.
What? We'll move on.
How the price change?
Yes.
Now that's the price index and there's the price change.
Yeah, for price changes, you know them already.
Mhm.
By 10%, minus 5 is 0 and 8.
Yes. Yes, I get it.
Okay. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Different impact of price changes. We said a consumer prices index measures the price of goods and services consumed by the average household. So of course, the expenditure of a particular household is likely to differ from the average. In some way, for example, families with young children will experience lower inflation than other households due to lower bills for healthcare and no expenditure on university fees. If the price of healthcare and university fees increase at a greater rate than inflation rate, than the inflation rate. So what they are saying is this: the impact of price changes, the impact varies within different households. A household that is young would not have much to talk about healthcare and school education because they'll spend less. So price change will not affect them like an average family, below average family. Like I'm talking about above average age family. That means let's say like family of 35, 40, they would have kids, maybe in the high school or even going to the university. So price changes in education and healthcare might affect them than those ones that are just coming. Did you get what the point here? The point about price changes is that it affects one family than it affects one household than another. So it depends on the category of household you're talking about.
Mhm.
So if the household is just a newly wedded household, so they won't talk education, changes in education, changes in healthcare might not affect them.
Yes.
But changes in food price might affect them.
Mhm.
So that is the point I'm making here. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now we go to the causes of inflation. I think price index is clear.
Yeah, price index.
You have the weight, you have the prices over 100, multiply by the weight to get your weighted price index. That's all.
Yeah.
So we go to causes of inflation. So for causes of inflation, we have inflation is not a one-off increase in the general price level. While examining the cause of inflation, therefore, it is necessary to consider the reasons for a rise in the price level over a period of time. Economists divide the causes into two main categories. These are cost push and demand pull. So we start with cost push. Cost push inflation occurs when the price level is pushed by increase in the cost of goods of production. Sorry. If firms face higher costs, they will usually raise their prices to maintain their profit margins. Yesterday when we were talking in accounting, we said to increase your price, to increase your price margin.
Oh yeah.
To improve your price margin, to improve your profit margin, you have to increase your price. To improve your profit margin, you have to increase your price. So this takes us to cost push inflation. Cost push inflation is caused by an increase in the cost of production. So if firms have to increase their profit margin, they have to increase the price. So they are increasing price here based on the fact that cost has increased and they wouldn't have any other choice than to push that cost to customers.
Yes.
So selling at a higher price. That's the point. So they said there are numbers of reasons for an increase in cost. One is wages increasing more than labor productivity. So if wages are increasing more than labor productivity, then there should be there will be cost push, which will lead to inflation. Yeah, workers are producing less and they are getting more. This is not good for firms. So they have to push the cost. They have to transfer the cost to consumers. That's the first one. Two, here they said this will increase labor cost. As labor costs from the highest proportion of total cost in many firms, such a rise can have a significant impact on the price level. It will also not be a one-off increase. The initial rise in the price level is likely to cause workers to press for even higher wages, leading to a wage price spiral. Cost push inflation is not a one-off thing. It's a two-way thing, because as soon as prices are increasing, workers would also push for more wage increase to meet up with their disposable income. So as prices are being transferred as high cost has been transferred to prices, it will make workers to push for more pay to meet up for their disposable income. So another important reason is increase in the cost of raw materials. So raw materials, most notably oil, can change in prices by large amounts. On that cost, other causes of cost push inflation are increase in indirect taxes, higher cost of capital goods, and increase in profit margins by firms. So cost push inflation can be illustrated on an aggregate demand and aggregate supply diagram. High cost of production shifts the AS curve to the left, and this movement forces up the price level. So if there's high cost of production, if there's high cost in terms of production, aggregate supply will shift left up from AS to AS1. And at the same time, price will move upward from P to P1.
Yes.
That is the point there. I think it's clear. I think it's clear.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be any other choice than income level falling from Y to Y1. Disposable income. People won't be able to buy more as they used to buy. You get the point there?
Yes.
Okay.
Demand or not?
We're talking about cost push.
Yeah.
Cost push.
So it's all about
Supply, yeah. So go to demand pull inflation. This is when we talk about
demand.
Aggregate demand. So for demand pull inflation occurs when the price level is pulled up by an excess demand. Aggregate demand can increase due to higher consumption, higher investment, higher government expenditure, or higher net export, which is export minus imports. Such an increase in aggregate demand will not necessarily cause inflation. If aggregate supply can extend to match it, when the economy has plenty of spare capacity with unemployed workers and unused machines, higher aggregate demand will result in higher output, but no increase in the price level. When demand increases in the economy, it might not lead to increasing the price level if there are still unused or unemployed resources. That means there's still unemployment in the economy, there's still unused resources, there's still unused machinery. So that means firms can employ more workers, firms can use equipment, firms can use these resources to meet up with the demand that is increasing in the economy. That means there's still no scarcity. That means resources are not still fully used to their capacity. So it's still okay for firms because they don't have to buy more of economic goods. So there won't be demand pull inflation. But if resources are used to the fullest capacity in that economy, that means there's need to buy more equipment. There's need to employ more workers. there's no work, there are no workers available. So now you have to increase wages to attract workers.
Mhm.
This will lead to demand pull inflation. Do you get it or not?
Yes, yes.
When there's still unused resources within the economy, when there are still workers
That's okay.
available, then supply can meet up with demand
Yeah.
because we have the resources that are not fully used to their capacity.
But if you don't,
But at that point, at the point where the economy is operating on the full capacity, you need extra. Then supply will not meet demand. Demand will be excess than supply. At this point, there will be inflation, demand pull inflation.
yes,
Is it clear?
Yes.
So there wouldn't be any other choice than to increase the price from P to P1. So if aggregate demand increases from AD to AD1, price has to increase from P to P1.
yes,
Is it clear?
Yes.
That is demand pull inflation. Any question about that?
No.
Then there's monetary inflation. So monetary inflation is a form of demand pull inflation. In this case, excess demand is created by an excessive growth of the money supply. So when there's increase in money supply within the economy, a lot of people have money with them.
Mhm.
What will happen? People would want to spend as much as they want to. It will bring up demand pull inflation.
That's the result of
Excess money supply in the economy.
money supply, which is
So they said a group of economists appropriately called monetarists believe that the only cause of inflation is the money supply increasing faster than output. So they argue that if the money supply increases, people will spend more and this will lead to an increase in prices. I think the point is clear.
Yes.
So go to the consequences of inflation. Most of the consequences of inflation are thought to be harmful, but some may actually prove to be beneficial. The impact that inflation has depends on a number of factors. The key ones are the rate of inflation, stability of this rate, its rate relative to the inflation rates of other countries, and the reaction of the government. So, the harmful effects of inflation. Inflation causes a fall in the value of money. If prices are rising, each unit of money will buy fewer products. The higher the inflation rate, the greater will be the fall in the purchasing power of money. So in a situation of hyperinflation, the value of money may be falling so rapidly that people may lose confidence in using the country's currency as money. 50% is usually taken to be the minimum rate to qualify as hyperinflation. So there's hyperinflation if the price increased by 50%. That's hyperinflation. I think you get the point.
It increases by 50%.
That is hyperinflation.
The price of the currency or the
Prices of food.
Food.
Prices of goods increases by 50%. That is hyperinflation. It means that money loses value. That is the point there. So the value of money will be lost. Not that it's not going to be, it's still going to be the same 10. 10 dinars will continue to be the same 10 dinars, but it won't be able to buy what it used to buy. So $10 will not, or 10 dinars will not be able to buy what $10 can always buy before. That means the purchasing power of money is lost. That was the first effect. Is it clear?
Yes.
The second one.
But the value of the currency will be the same.
10 is still 10, but 10 can't buy what 10 used to buy.
Oh, yeah.
Clear?
Yes.
Inflation will distribute income in an unplanned way. Some people gain from it, while others lose. Workers with strong bargaining power tend to gain, as their income usually rises more than the inflation rate. Normally, borrowers also benefit if the rate of interest is below the inflation rate. Borrowers pay back less in real terms than what they borrowed. For example, a woman may borrow $100 if the inflation rate is 12%. She would have to repay 112 for the lender to just gain back the same amount of purchasing power. If the rate of interest rate is 8%, she will repay only $108, which has less purchasing power than what she borrowed. While borrowers are likely to benefit, savers are likely to lose, as they may be repaid less in real terms than what they lent. Workers with low bargaining power and those with fixed incomes also suffer during the period of inflation. The government can seek to protect some vulnerable groups from inflation by index linking, that's state benefit payments and interest rates on government securities. When inflation rises, it's going to affect borrowers. It's going to affect lenders.
Yes.
It's going to affect
savers.
No, sorry. It's going to affect
investors and savers. Right?
It's going to affect those who who lend people money, lenders.
Yes, lenders.
It's going to affect
Investors.
it's going to affect those who don't have bargaining power, employees that do not have bargaining power. It's going to affect them. It's going to affect fixed income earners. It's going to be beneficial to borrowers.
Mhm.
Do you get it?
Yes, yes, I get it.
Now let's explain it. For fixed income earners, they will still be receiving the amount of money they used to receive.
But they will demand to get more, right? No.
Listen, for fixed
Yes,
income
fixed, yeah.
earners,
Yes, yes.
you might not be able. That's why I said fixed.
Yes, fixed. Yeah.
So for fixed income earners,
Hmm.
they won't be able. Examples are plumbers. What do they want to do? Do they want to charge more than what they used to charge?
Oh, yeah.
So for fixed income earners, even salary earners, they might not be able to. In the short term, they might not be able to get more. Their disposable income would fall. They won't be able to buy. That's inflation. It's going to affect them. Some people will make more money then. For example, those that can bargain, that have bargaining power to negotiate their salary, to be able to get more. Borrowers that have borrowed money from people, they will be paying less the value of what the money was.
Percentage rate is falling. Yeah.
Let's forget about it. Yes, let's say the interest rate is falling.
Yeah.
So if I have borrowed $100 from you, when $100 could buy a phone, now I'm returning $100 to you when it cannot even buy a battery.
Yes.
So lenders are worst off. Borrowers are best off.
Yes.
Did you get the point?
Yes, yes, yes.
That is what they are making. They are staying here. So those that don't have purchasing power, bargaining power, employees that doesn't have bargaining power would be worst off too. Is it clear?
Yes.
So this is how redistribution of income happens within that economy. So money goes to some people and some people loses out in it.
It's index like linking.
Yeah, like what government have to do, like maybe interest rates or unemployment benefits or whatever government have to do to make sure that prices are within the reach, within affordable for vulnerable people. Do you get it? So government will try to check if they can find a way to subsidize, to make prices fall. That is index linking. But government won't just do it. They will do it based on what they see that people are buying more, that people would have it, or that is so important. The necessities.
Yes, the necessities. Yeah.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
So the excess of inflation imposes extra costs on firm. That's the third point. Some additional staff time will be taken off. Estimating future costs of raw materials. There will also be the menu cost or shoe leather cost. When we talk about menu cost, we're talking about changes in the price tag. So every now and then we have to change the price tag because there's inflation. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So price tag will be rip off every now and then to replace them. You are wasting papers. It's a cost. That is the point here. For menu, for shoe leather cost, this is the situation whereby you have to start searching for where you can get prices that are negotiable. You have to move from one shop to another, one shop to another, one shop to another to get an affordable price, to get a price that suits you. That is shoe leather cost. Is it clear?
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes, yes, I get it.
Okay. Many costs are the costs involved in changing prices in catalogs, price lists, and slot machines, etc. Shoe leather costs arise because with money paid to firms will be losing its value as soon as it is received. Even if the firms plan to pay out of the money relatively soon, for example, on wages or raw materials, it would need to protect its value by placing it in the bank or other financial institutions, which will pay a rate of interest above the inflation rate. Seeking out good financial returns will involve the time and effort of firms. So firms, it will take time for firms to be able to get a bank that will give them an interest rate that suits their demand. So they have to move from one bank to another, one bank to another, one financial institution to another to get the best deal, the best rate of interest that would be higher than the inflation rate. It will take time. Yes. And that time is a cost, which we call the shoe leather cost. Is it clear? Yes. The fourth point, inflation creates uncertainty. It can make it hard for households and firms to judge the right price to be paid for products now. It can also make it difficult to plan ahead, as households and firms will be uncertain about future prices. So this is a particularly grave problem with a high fluctuating inflation rate. In such an unstable situation, firms may be discouraged from investing, which will be harmful for the economy because they are not. Uncertainty brings lack of confidence, or pessimism. Firms will be pessimistic. Consumers will be pessimistic about the future, so they don't want to spend. Firms would not want to invest, and this will reduce output in the economy, which will lead to economic decline. Clear. Inflation can harm the country's balance of payment position. If a country's inflation rate is above that of its rivals, its products will become less price competitive. If there's inflation, or there's local inflation, or there's inflation within the economy, so this will mean that firms won't be able, output in that economy would be affected. And if output is affected, firms, businesses, they won't be able to sell to foreign customers because their prices will be high. So firms in that country that is witnessing inflation will be less internationally competitive. Foreign customers will start looking for substitutes from other countries because prices of their own. So it means price of exports will increase. And if price of export increases, it will make you not to be internationally competitive. Foreign customers will seek alternative. That is the point. And if your exports start falling, it will affect your balance of payments. Clear or not?
Yes.
Inflation can cause fiscal drag. This occurs when government do not adjust tax brackets in line with inflation. As a result, people's incomes are dragged into higher tax brackets and they are left with lower disposable income. Yes, it will lead to fiscal drag because the inflation rate is increasing and tax is not cutting. Government is not cutting tax.
They're not cutting
Yeah.
because of inflation.
If government does not cut tax,
Yes.
and inflation is increasing, it becomes fiscal drag.
So
Disposable income would fall drastically.
Yes.
That's the point. I think it's clear.
They have taxes.
Government should try to cut tax to be able to balance things up. If tax is not cut, you are paying the same tax, and inflation is increasing. You are going to pay tax. You are going to pay high prices for food.
Yes.
What happens to your disposable income?
Because indirect taxes might increase also.
Yes. So that's what they are saying.
Yes.
So what are the benefits of the beneficial effects of inflation? So what are the benefits of inflation? You might be surprised to learn that inflation can have beneficial effects also. These effects are more likely to occur if the inflation is of a demand pool, low and stable nature, and is below that of rival countries. Inflation may encourage firms to expand. A low and stable level of demand pool inflation may make entrepreneurs optimistic about future sales. That means entrepreneurs will think that they can sell more because there's high demand.
Yes.
So that is good for the economy. Output will increase because firms will be encouraged to increase their output because they are confident that people will buy more based on how demand is increasing.
Yes.
So inflation reduces the real burden of any debt that households and firms have built up. This may mean that some households and firms will avoid going bankrupt. With inflation, you won't be thinking about increasing your debts. You don't want to borrow more. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you get the point?
Yes.
You wouldn't want to borrow more because nobody wants to borrow you more because lenders will be worse off than you. So they don't want to start losing their money anymore.
Yes.
So that reduces your mentality of borrowing. So you won't go into bankrupt because borrowing would have been discouraged. The mindset of borrowing would go off you.
Why? I mean,
there's inflation in the economy.
Yeah, the interest rate.
High prices.
Yes.
You won't be encouraged to borrow more. So the mindset of borrowing would reduce. So you won't be pushed to run into debts.
Yes, it's a good.
Do you get it or not?
Yes, no, I get it.
When there's inflation, when there's high inflation, prices are high. You won't think about borrowing to buy things. No, I don't want to borrow anymore.
Mhm.
Let the prices fall before I start borrowing again. So that means one way or the other, you are going away from debts. That is what inflation will do, which is good.
It's good.
The third point, inflation can prevent some workers being made redundant in a declining industry or region. This is because while workers are likely to resist any cut in their money wages, they may accept their money wages rising by less than inflation. In such a case, firms' wage costs will fall without resorting to a retrenchment of workers. So workers might not be made redundant in as much as wages, the wage rate is higher than their inflation rate.
Because they want more workers.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So go to policies now. Are you there?
Yeah.
Policies available to control inflation. A measure that is becoming increasingly used throughout the world is the setting by government of an inflation rate target for its central bank to achieve. So the intention behind the inflation rate targets are to make the central bank accountable and to influence the behavior of households and firms. If the central bank does not achieve its target, it has to explain why and what measures it is going to take to get the inflation rate back on target. If a central bank can convince households and firms that there will be right price stability, they may behave in a way that reduces the chance of significant movements in the price level. Households will not rush to buy products, expecting them to be much more expensive in the future, and firms will not raise their prices just to cover expected increase in cost of production. So it is for government and central bank to be able to come up with policies or to be able to convince households and firms that in the future prices will not rise or cost of production will not rise.
Yes.
Now, the second part. If the country is experiencing demand pull inflation, the appropriate policy approach would be to use contractionary fiscal or monetary policy. If there's demand pull inflation, you have to contract it. And using contractionary fiscal policy like increasing taxes, reducing subsidy, or contractionary monetary policy, reducing money supply or increasing interest rate.
Yes.
Clear?
Yes.
So the effectiveness of such measures will be influenced by how households and firms react. If they are very confident of the future, are we there? Okay. If they are very confident of the future economic prospects, they may continue to spend increasing amounts despite these measures. They may also react in a way that turns demand pull inflation into cost push inflation. For example, workers may respond to higher income rates by demanding higher wages, or they may opt out of the labor force. Contracting fiscal and monetary policy measures can have a number of adverse side effects, including reducing economic growth and possibly causing unemployment. If government reduces interest rate, or if government increases interest rate and increases taxes, it will increase corporate tax. It will increase income tax.
Yes.
Cost of production would rise, leading to cost push inflation. Unemployment might rise, falling aggregate demand in the economy. That is what government wants to enjoy or achieve anyway, but it could lead to economic decline. Is it clear?
Yes.
To reduce cost push inflation, a government will use supply side policy measures such as improved education and training and privatization. These measures may be effective, but as noted before, they may take some time. They may also be relatively costly and may, at least in the short run, add to aggregate demand, in addition rises in firms' cost of production. Supply side policies can be used when it comes to cost push inflation, but in the short run, it will be expensive. Firms will have to spend on training. It will increase cost of production.
Yes.
And it will take time because training will not just have impact right now.
Take time.
It will take time.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it will be effective. So rises in the price of imported raw materials and fuel may put significant upward pressure on prices. In this case, the government may try to lower inflation by subsidizing firms, but this might need relatively large amounts of government revenue and so a high opportunity cost. So government might subsidize also to increase domestic consumption or domestic production. But it will be an opportunity cost because government spending so much for domestic firms might mean that government won't be able to spend on education, government might not be able to spend on healthcare, might not be able to spend on infrastructure.
Yeah.
So any government spending is an opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Clear? We go to deflation. So the causes of deflation. So deflation may result from supply side or demand side of the economy. The price level may be reduced as a result of advances in technology and increases in labor productivity. This is likely to be beneficial as it will mean that consumers can enjoy more goods and services and the economy may become more internationally competitive. When there's deflation, it is good for consumers. They'll be able to buy more. It is good for export because the country will be internationally competitive.
But it's not good for the economy.
It's good.
Deflation, yeah.
It's good. It's good for the economy because the balance of payment might boost the balance of payment.
Yes.
In contrast, deflation resulting from a decline in aggregate demand is likely to be harmful. This is because it can lead to a downward spiral in economic activity. If there is deflation as a result of a fall in aggregate demand, it is poor for the economy. It means the prices fell because demand in the economy is falling. That is a bad thing. It's a bad signal. Do you get the point here?
Yes.
So consumers expecting prices to be lower in the future may postpone their purchase. With lower demand for their products, firms are likely to reduce their output and number of workers they employ. The reduction in employment will push down aggregate demand further. So if there's deflation as a result of a fall in aggregate demand, which means consumers do not buy, hoping that there will be future fall in the prices. This is not good for firms. Firms will be losing revenue. And if they continue to lose revenue, they will start reducing their output and they will start laying off workers.
There will be higher unemployment.
That is the point. And that will push down aggregate demand again because nobody has the income to buy.
Yes.
The consequences of deflation. The effect of deflation will be influenced by whether it is good deflation caused by an increase in aggregate supply or bad deflation caused by a decrease in aggregate demand. Good deflation may reduce the current account deficit or increase the current account surplus if demand for exports and imports is elastic and the fall in the price level is not offset by a rise in the exchange rate. Good deflation can be associated with increase in output and employment. Good deflation is good because as a result of increasing in aggregate supply.
Yeah.
It's good. But if it is as a result of
decreasing
aggregate demand, it's a problem for the economy.
Yes.
That is the point they are making because good deflation means that employment might increase and output is increasing. Clear?
Yes.
Bad deflation, however, is likely to cause a rise in unemployment and lower output. That is the point.
Yes.
And this will discourage
investment
because revenue would fall. So there's no tendency for firms to be making profit.
Yes.
That would increase the debt in the economy. You get it?
Yes.
Firms which are taking out loans will have to pay back more in return. So firms that are taking loans will not be able to pay back because there's no revenue to pay back. Have you forgotten that this is when your revenue increases that you can pay all your expenditures, which are interest on loans, and even pay back your debts?
Some businesses will close.
Yeah, they will shut and they will go into bankrupt.
Yes.
So what are the policies the government can put in place to control deflation?
It's monetary.
A government will be monetary. Let's see.
Yeah.
A government will not be concerned about good deflation, but it will be anxious to avoid bad deflation or to correct it should it occur. If there's a risk of bad deflation, or it is occurring, it is likely that government will use expansionary fiscal policy. Yeah. And the central bank will use expansionary monetary policy. Bad deflation, however, can be difficult to reverse. If it has lasted some time, interest rates may be very low, and there may be little room to cut them further. Confidence may be very low, and the burden of debt high, so that cuts in income and corporate tax rates, for example, may not encourage households to spend and firms to invest. So government can use expansionary fiscal policy or expansionary monetary policy to reduce bad deflation. Do you get it?
Yes.
At this point in time, interest rates would fall encouraging households to borrow more money to increase aggregate demand, encouraging firms to borrow more money, or to be able to pay back their debt at a lower rate. That's the point. Spending will increase, aggregate demand will rise. I think it's clear.
Yes.
So policies to correct inflation, you use
Essentially.
contractionary, fiscal,
Inflation,
contractionary, fiscal and monetary policy.
And
To correct deflation, you use expansionary fiscal or expansionary monetary policy.
for
Deflation,
inflation, we use
contractionary.
yeah, but if it was cost
push.
Yes, cost push inflation, we use supply side.
Supply side, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Because supply side would help efficiency for firms. Efficiency for firms.
Yes, yes, yes. Training and
Yeah, it's efficiency, to bring about efficiency.
Yes, yes.
So policy conflicts. Some of the policy measures designed to reduce unemployment may increase inflation. For example, an increase in government spending or pensions would raise consumer expenditure. This rise would encourage firms to expand their output and take on more workers. The higher aggregate demand may, however, raise the price level. So if government is increasing pensions, demand, disposable income would rise. Aggregate demand will increase. It will bring about high prices, demand, pull inflation again. So one policy might cause another situation within the economy.
It's inflation.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Policy measures to reduce expenditure on imports may reduce economic growth. A rise in income tax designed to reduce household expenditures on imports would also reduce spending on domestically produced products. This fall in demand will reduce the country's output or at least slow down the economic growth. If government wants to try to reduce demand for importation, demand for importation, it might increase income tax. But if government is increasing income tax, yes, importation would reduce, but it also affect domestic products because consumers will not be even buying domestic products.
Or it will increase the tax.
Government increasing income tax is tariffs.
Yes, tariffs. Yes.
So government increasing income tax to stop or to discourage people from importing products. It will affect both importation and domestically produced products. The income tax has increased. Disposable income will fall. It will not only affect importation, it will affect domestically produced goods too.
Yes. So balance of payment will not be balanced.
It will reduce. No, balance of payment will define.
If imports are less than
yes.
Wait.
You brought in balance of payment, then I'm explaining balance of payment too. But before I will explain it again. Government wants to reduce importation.
They want to reduce.
Yes, if government wants to reduce importation is increasing because people have more disposable income. I have more money, then I can start importing. But government wants to stop that to encourage domestic consumption.
Yes, so it can be exported for the end. So it can be more internationally competitive.
No.
Yeah.
No. Governments, we are talking about importation, which government can find a policy like increasing taxes or increasing income tax, not tariffs now.
Yeah.
There is increase in importation within an economy. This might be as a result of an increase in disposable income. So government wants to stop the consumption of importation goods to encourage the consumption of those domestically made products. So government wants to increase income tax. So if government increases income tax, what happens afterwards? Get my point?
Yes,
government wants to increase income tax. Government is increasing income tax because there is a high consumption of importation goods.
Yes.
So government could do that by increasing income tax. If government increases income tax, the consumption of domestic products would fall.
Importation.
The consumption of imported products would fall. The consumption of domestically products wants to be increased, right? That's why government is doing that. But it will not increase because disposable income has fallen. People won't even have money to buy either domestic produced goods or imported produced goods. So this is how government policies conflict.
Yes, that's a good point.
Unemployment and economic growth both tend to benefit from expansionary fiscal policy and monetary policies. In contrast, Contractional fiscal and monetary policies are more likely to be used to reduce inflation and expenditures on imports.
Mm.
So government might want to encourage, government might want to increase unemployment in the economy.
Yes.
Government might not want to reduce unemployment in the economy. At the same time, encourage economic growth. They can do this. Economic growth and reducing unemployment are government aims.
Yeah.
But how would government be able to do these two together? They said government can use expansionary fiscal policy. So if government wants to use expansionary fiscal policy, using expansionary fiscal policy means reducing income tax or corporation tax, corporate tax.
Yes.
Profit will increase. Firms will be able to employ more workers. Yes or no?
No, if you
Reducing.
Reducing, yeah.
Expansionary, yes.
Yeah, it said increasing.
I said government wants to increase economic growth.
Yeah.
At the same time, reduce unemployment.
Yes.
Government can use expansionary fiscal policy to do this.
Yes.
For government to use expansionary fiscal policies to do this, they have to reduce interest rates or increase subsidies.
Yeah.
Or reduce taxes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Reducing taxes will mean that corporate tax would reduce.
Mm-hmm.
Firms will have more profit to them. They'll be encouraged to increase their output. Yes or no?
Yes, but you said, Mr. They were gonna fall like they'll get more taxes on corporation. You said that now?
No.
Income, corporation income will fall.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm talking about government increasing government increasing employment rate or reducing unemployment rate. At the same time, they want economic growth. They want to do these two things at a time.
So they're increasing unemployment and
they want to increase employment.
Yeah.
Or reduce unemployment. It's the same.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
And at the same time, increase economic growth.
Mm.
To do this, government can use expansionary fiscal policy or expansionary monetary policy. Yeah. Now I'm talking about the expansionary fiscal policy, which is the use of taxes, tax cuts, or increasing subsidy. That is where I stopped at.
Mm.
Now, reducing taxes will increase profit made by firms.
Yes.
This would encourage firms to increase their output.
Yes. They
will employ more workers. So government has been able to do two things at this time. But what is the consequence of doing these two things? More people getting jobs will increase aggregate demand. Inflation would rise.
Yes.
That is the conflict I'm talking about here.
I'm getting it, yeah. Government
trying to reduce unemployment, increasing economic growth would increase inflation.
It's because it will increase aggregate demand.
Yes.
And there will be, for the time, it will be like less employment. I mean, there will be more employed than employment.
Inflation would increase.
Yeah.
Demand pull inflation.
Yes.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, we have questions, please. Yes. They said the price of product rises by 8% in 2016. Its weighted price changes is 2%. It rises and the price falls to 5%, but its weighted price changes increase to 2.5%. What was the weight of the product in 2016 and 17? The product rises by 8%. That was 108.
Yes, 108.
And its weighted price was 2%. So 108 multiplied by this, divided by 100. So that is 8% is 8 over 100. 8 over 100 multiplied by 102. What does that give you, please? 8 over 100 multiplied by 102. 8 over 100 multiplied by 102.
8.16.
8 point what?
16.
8.16.
16, yeah.
Okay. 8.16 is what? 8.16. Sorry, please. Let me check something here. 8.16. 8.16. 8.16. Okay. It rises in price, falls from 5%. But its weighted price changes to 2.5. What was the weighted price in 2016 and 2017? In 2016, we have 108 over 100 and 102. So what is 1 divided by 4, please?
25.
20.
Yeah, 25, 0.25.
0.25.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So we have this 8. The rest
we
is
have
for
0.25 and 50, 0.50
2.5.
or 4.
But its weighted price changes to this 8% to 2. That's 2 over 8 and 2 over 8
2 over 8 is 1 over 4.
and 2.5 or 5%.
2.5 or 5%.
2.5 over 5%.
Over 1. Wait, let me get.
The price of a product rises by 8%. Its weighted price changes 2.5 is 2.
Mhm.
Weighted price changes. That's two. It is supposed to be 8 over multiplied by this, but now they're giving us the 2. So it will be 2 over 2017 over.
2016.
Did you get it?
So what's the answer?
1 over 2, 1 over 4.
And then over 2.
2 over the base year is 2016.
Yes, yes.
2016 over 2017. 2016 over 2017.
Yes, so it's 2016.
8 over, sorry, it's 8 over 2. The base year over recent year. 2016 over 2017. 2016 over 2017.
8 over 2.
8 over 2, yes.
And it should give us 4.
And 2.5 over 5. Or 5 over 2.5.
5 over 2.5.
Yes.
2.
Yeah, so C. Is it clear?
Can you explain how did you get it?
The base year divided by the previous year, current year. Well, they did the calculation already. 8%. That's the increase, is 8%. For 8% for last year.
Over 2, which is the price change.
Yes.
And then the same thing. Yeah, I get it.
Question 2. Who among the following is most likely to benefit during a period of rapid inflation? When there's inflation, who among the following is most likely to benefit?
Borrowers. It's either A or D.
There's nothing like either.
Because I have to eliminate. So it's A. Borrowers, yeah. It's borrowers.
Borrowers.
Because workers in stronger unions, they might have the negotiations. Like
benefit, they say is most likely to benefit.
But borrowers would like, yeah. Borrowers.
Borrowers. Workers in strong union.
Yeah.
Workers in strong union will be able to bargain for high prices. Yes or no?
Yes, that's the.
For borrowers, listen. For borrowers,
they might get less. I mean, if they are in debt, they might not borrow. That's one.
If borrowers, you said rapid inflation for borrowers. When they borrow more,
they will get in debt. So, yeah.
Workers in strong union because they'll be able to bargain for higher pay. So it's D.
Yes, I told you it's either A or B.
It's D. Question 3. Which of the following is a possible cause of demand pull inflation?
Demand pull inflation.
Demand pull.
Demand pull.
Yeah.
B.
An increase in the price of oil, not matched by a fall in the price of other raw materials. Demand pull.
No, that's cost. Wait, that's cost. B is cost.
What would cause a demand pull inflation?
Wait. C.
A rise in wages, not matched by an increase in productivity. A rise in wages, that is cost push. Rise in wages.
Not much by
a rise in import, not matched by a rise in export.
Is it?
I'm asking you.
Yeah, it is.
A rise in import. There's an increase in import, but not matched by a rise in export.
I know, that's good. So it's A. Government.
When government increases spending and the tax is not matched with it, it means a lot of people, it means demand will increase in the economy. It's A.
It's A, yeah.
Question 4. Which of the following must happen as a result of inflation?
B.
Must happen as a result of inflation. What's the answer?
B.
B. A fall in the value of money. Yes. Yeah.